Hey everyone, welcome back to the library. It's time for Tabletop Tuesday, our video series where we discuss, review, and demo tabletop games. Today we're going to take a look at how to bring classic Dungeons & Dragons adventures to the modern era. D&D has a long and storied history. Since 1974, people have been delving into dungeons to slay dragons and take their treasure, and hundreds of adventures have been published in the past 47 years. At this point in 5th edition's lifespan, we've seen many official conversions, but Wizards of the Coast won't be able to reprint everything, even if they wanted to. That's why they released an official guide to module conversion in the early years of 5th edition. So let's say that you've been clicking through drivethroughrpg.com and you found an ancient module for a setting that you want to add into your campaign. What do you need to do in order to make it playable in 5th edition? It's not as hard as you think. The conversion guide offers two ways to convert an adventure, the careful way and the quick way. The careful method involves taking the adventure one element at a time and converting everything in the adventure pertaining to that aspect of the module before moving on to the next. And it assumes that you'll be doing this before game night. The quick conversion method works best for 1st through 3rd editions, though it is possible with some extra math to do some quick conversions for a 4th edition adventure. In a quick conversion, you convert the elements on the fly on game night. I don't recommend this even for experienced DMs unless you're well familiarized with both systems. For the purposes of this video, we're going to take a look at the careful method and what you need to do to get your granddad's old D&D setting up and running for 5th edition. One of the first things that the guide focuses on is encounter difficulty. Older dungeons, especially 1st edition ones, have a tendency to be less than fair, as the point of focus in the original game was about going after treasure. Fighting monsters was, for the most part, secondary, with the exception of major boss fights. When you convert these encounters, it's important to remember that you're going for the impressions the encounters are meant to leave, and not exact replications. Sometimes you might need to reduce or increase the number of monsters in an encounter, alter the room slightly to make reinforcements less likely, or at least make it harder for enemies to get the drop on a less experienced party. Of course, you know your group better than any other DM, so adjust it as you see fit. Hazards, traps, and terrain are key factors in encounter design and are generally simple to convert, as you just bring them over as is. Some adjustments you might need to consider are adding investigate and disable DCs to traps from 1st or 2nd edition traps that come from a game that lacks skill checks. As mentioned before, anything coming from 4th edition would require some additional math for adjustment. I'm not going to cover it because most 4E adventures can be found in earlier versions or have been already adapted. If you're determined to use the 4E version, check out the guide for more guidelines, but remember that they are just simply guidelines. DMing, and conversion for that matter, is more of an art than science. Most of the monsters you'll find in older campaigns already have 5th edition counterparts, but what if you come across something that doesn't? The Dungeon Master's Guide has a section specifically for monster creation. Simply use that monster as a sort of template and build your own 5e variant of said monster. The same goes for magic items. The DM Guide, Xanathar's Guide, and other rule source books cover a lot of magic items, but if for some reason you can't find the item you need, there's also a guide to create your own magic item to replicate what you need for your conversion. NPCs are generally an easy conversion too, as most of the time you can just drag and drop them and they're ready to go. If they need combat stats for some reason, you can just borrow a corresponding generic NPC stat block for the characters in combat. So that should cover the basics you need to consider when converting an older adventure into 5th edition. Everything does not have to fit a perfect 1-to-1 ratio. It's okay to make modifications. Good luck with your DMing, and remember to make it fun. Thanks for watching everyone. We'll see you next time.